Welcome to Practical Psychology Podcast, episode 38. I'm Joseph Wong, one of the co-hosts. Today we are very happy to have Adam Richards coming back to our podcast here. Adam is a mental health counselor based in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. He also shared background living overseas in Taiwan, China, multiple places here, Toronto. And today we're very happy to have Adam. Thank you, Adam.
Hey, thanks, Joseph. Hi, everybody. Yes, it's very difficult to send me mail, but if you text me, I'll usually get the text.
So Adam here, previously you talked about a lot of different topics, how the multicultural counseling with different cultures. This time we want to dig a little bit deeper into the self-reflection as a counselor. Because you mentioned when people talk about counseling reflection, they usually talk about the modalities, the techniques here, but they rarely talk about the process behind the process, the
Mm,
fitness for counseling and communication.
right, exactly. Because study after study after study shows that modalities aren't always the most important thing. It's always about the relationship. And if you're in a relationship with somebody else, anybody else, what's the most important thing? It's communication.
So, Adam, here, what are some of the elements of communication you want to go through first for our viewers and fellow clinicians, counselors?
Well, I think the idea is that no matter who you are or where you are from, there's probably some kind of reflection you can do on your communication style. So when Joseph and I first started talking about this, we were specifically talking about Canada as a multicultural context with counselors and clients coming from all over the world and all different linguistic backgrounds. But even that aside, like even if we were all the same ethnicity, all spoke the same language, people don't really communicate all that well. Maybe they speak really too quickly, or maybe like for example, like whatever. A native speaker might not be that great at communication. So all we're suggesting is that take some time, think about how you communicate, ask your friends, ask your colleagues, maybe take a video of yourself.
That's very interesting here, Adam, because it looks like we touched on one fundamental process about communications and different languages are two separate skills. I want to share something here briefly here. I remember training one of the counselor, and she speak another native language, and I asked her to say something in English.
Right.
And after that, I asked her to say something in her home language,
Mm,
and then we identify is the communication skills, how she speaks, rather than the language skills. Because she
right.
is worrying about her English skills, but actually it is a communication skills deficit or the issue that we need to work on.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So a lot of the time, it's really just about, looking at yourself in the mirror or holding that mirror up to yourself. So it has nothing to do with your background, has nothing to do with your intelligence, but everything to do with just how willing or how much you have already done this self-reflection.
Thank you, Adam, for saying this. Because a lot of people think about communications is highly related to intelligence.
Yeah,
I have to be intelligent, charismatic, and then I speak a certain way.
sure.
The good news in psychology is communication is a skills that anybody can work on, spend time and build on.
Sure, exactly. And one thing I have noticed is, there are some clients who are very, very intellectual. And so, I'm not going to lie, I kind of enjoy talking to those people because you can be very abstract and but for most clients, it's not really like that. You need to be very, very concrete, very specific. So don't be too abstract or too full of metaphor.
In a way, it's good too because these communication skills will benefit the counselor, psychologist, benefit the clients, and benefit any public. to
Right.
be using these skills too on their daily life, communications in relationships,
Right.
work, or even talking to themselves.
Sure. Sure. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So Adam, here, let's keep it simple for
Okay.
the counselors first.
Okay.
Let's talk about the process behind the what are some of the things when people are speaking, they need to pay attention to? There's some basic factors.
Speed.
Oh, speed. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Speed. Yeah. Speed is a big one. I actually was talking to a colleague the other day who admittedly speaks very quickly. And again, I don't really mind. I like when people speak quickly. I can also speak quickly, but not everybody can, right? And again, this has nothing to do with one's linguistic background. It might be age. We have a lot of clients who are quite a bit older. Maybe they don't hear very well. So speaking, much at a slower pace, much more intentionally, because you often find when people are speaking very quickly, maybe they don't have time to think before they speak.
And Adam, here, let's look at it this way too. People do not know what they do not know.
Mm,
How do a person or a counselor in your training,
right.
they know whether they speak too fast or too slow?
Sure, 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 sure. So, I mean, at some level, it's going to be pretty arbitrary. I was in Joseph's chair for many years as a host of a show like this. Half the people always said I spoke too quickly. Half the people said I spoke too slowly. So, at the end of the day, it is going to be a little bit arbitrary. But if you show a video to some of your colleagues, for example,
Mhm.
and let's say 4 out of 5 of them say, "Oh, maybe that's a little bit too fast," then consider
Okay.
that maybe it's a little bit too fast.
That's a really good idea here. So for people who do not know what they do not know, the first thing is to ask for feedback, at
Yeah,
least maybe a third, fourth, fifth opinion.
right. That's right. That's right. And again, if it does come out to be 50-50, half the people say you're too fast, half the people say too slow. I mean, maybe ask one more person to just see if that, decides. But, maybe in that case, it's okay. But if, again, the majority of people are saying, hey, you're speaking too quickly, or like I said before, maybe you are using way too many, like, like those words that like fill the sentence,
Mhm.
those kind of words, maybe you can think about how to reduce some of those.
Okay, Adam, you are talking about the speed here. Let's
Mm,
go back there before going to the other item.
sure.
You talk about the speed here. If talking too fast,
Mm,
the message cannot be communicated. People are not gonna be listened,
right,
and it reduce the effectiveness as a communicator.
right, right, exactly, exactly. And I find I don't have any data for this, but just anecdotally, people
Okay.
that speak very quickly, again, they sometimes they stack a lot of ideas together and push them
Mm.
out into one blah, blah, blah. And so maybe from a client's point of view, if they're trying to listen to, some kind of a question, but is it a question? It's like a sentence mixed with a question, mixed with maybe a little bit of a interpretation, something like that. So
Mhm.
slowing down a little bit just kind of helps you sort of think
Wow.
first, be very present with the client, and
And
connect
then,
better ultimately.
and then I would imagine when most people communicate, most people won't initiate a feedback. Oh, Mary, you speak too fast.
Hmm.
Most people just hide it because of shy or that. So the person who are communicating, unless they actively seek feedback, they will
Yeah.
actually never know what they don't know because people
Yes.
don't tell usually.
Right. That's such a good point. So, because a lot of these things, it's not polite, right? It's impolite to say, "Oh, you speak too quickly." I mean, I can always remember my grandma saying, like, "Don't mumble." How are you doing, Adam? Open your mouth and talk. So that maybe at some level there's like feedback in your family, but yeah, generally speaking, with my friends, I don't correct them or I don't like tell them how to speak.
And this one is a very powerful point too for any counselors. Because when they are doing psychoeducation or summarizing the clients, the client might only listen to 50%, but they're too polite to ask the counselor to repeat.
Right.
And they just
Exactly.
say thank you and losing the power in counseling.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Adam, let's go to the next point here. The first
Sure.
point is speed is very valuable. What is the number two?
Well, it's kind of related to that. It's the comfort with silence, right? For us, because we really need to be, we're doing a podcast here, so silence is like we want to avoid the silence at all possible. But when we're actually doing the therapy with people, of course, there's a lot of time where we just want to say nothing at all. See, that's very good. I could tell you're very practiced at this.
So Adam here, we just try out these maybe 3, 4 seconds
Mm,
silence. It
yeah.
also goes along to your previous point about mm-hmm, aha,
Mm,
aha,
right.
and those filler words really cut down the effectiveness for the
That's
communication.
that's right. That's right. Um, Although we should be clear, like what is the other thing called? The words that like I'm the ones that show that I'm listening,
The
right?
minimal
The minimal
encouragers. Mm-hmm,
encouragers. Yes, that's
mm-hmm.
right. Like those are good. Those, of course, are very
Yeah.
good. But yeah, you don't put minimal encouragers in the middle of your sentence. Put it that way. Oh, right.
Yeah, Adam, you mentioned about eliminate those unnecessary filler words to make the communication more clear. Replace them with silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, replacement science. And that might sound very difficult to people because, again, if your sentence is like this and but what do you replace it with? I mean, people who actually go to a professional or actually take steps to reduce that behavior, it really is about replacing it with a space, with nothing, in other words. So yeah, if you don't know what to say, you just pause. That's the point, right? That's the point. And I think the other key thing there is something we tell our clients to do all the time, which is breathe. If you breathe before you speak or you breathe before you start to speak the sentence, there's a good chance that that breath can lead you to the end of a very clear sentence, as opposed to this very because I was thinking yesterday we were talking about this and this very, very disjointed sentence. So trust your breath as well.
And there are so many important implications here, Adam.
Mm,
Number one is silence is part of being mindfulness.
yeah,
So they can dig into the deep thinking rather
right.
than just saying things for the sake of saying things and replying a sentence,
Right,
along with the cognitive strategy. Number two is it is basic communication practice, similar to people going to Toastmaster. They
right,
have a they have the hobby club. They have a person in charge of just clicking how many filler words at the end
right,
of the speech for 2 minutes. They review. So yeah,
right. Oh, Joseph, I'm getting flashbacks of Toastmasters now. I'm getting the criticism. I think I was maybe when I went to Toastmasters before, I was in a place where I didn't see feedback as a gift. And so it was,
okay,
the feedback was just like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. No, you don't understand.
okay, yeah, yeah. For all the viewers here, Toastmaster is a hobby club here. You can find in your cities,
Hmm.
in person, a great hobby club to practice public speaking
Oh,
and
correct.
communicating in a hobby settings.
Correct.
So Adam, here, the silence here is very powerful.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into what else? What is the next element important as a communicator?
Well, so this is the one where I might get canceled for this, but this is how our conversation actually got started. It was talking about the accents, like people's accents.
Okay.
And let me just preface this by saying everybody has an accent. Every single person on the planet has an accent. Some people are easier to understand than other people.
Hmm. Thank you for bringing about this point here, Adam. And as we are training a lot of counselors, we actually have a few counselors before they are actor and actress.
Right, right.
One of them even was on a Netflix movie.
Mm,
But the point being aside is when people are talking about accent reduction training, which is a
mm.
professional training that you used to perform, Adam, we will
Yeah,
talk more about it.
sure.
Number two is the accent diversification. For example, an actor or actress, they have to do a new role in a movie. They have to learn the whatever accent.
Right.
Sometimes we don't even know the original accent is until we watch the behind the scene. It is very powerful, especially counselors. We are showing to see people in different culture. We try to adapt to their accent. It's way more than just reducing an accent.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting with actors because, there are some actors like Christian Bale. I didn't know he was British, right? I saw all the Batman movies, like, wow, he's so, that's the most American guy I've ever seen in my life. And then you hear him speak. And then other guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, where like his accent is kind of his brand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as an old man, I've met lots of old, I know he's Austrian, but old like German speakers who lose their accent over time. But his is kind of getting stronger because why wouldn't he? He's already made his money. He doesn't need to do anything else. That's his brand. But he, probably doesn't need to connect with people on a very like one-to-one personal level. He just needs to like shoot the gun and then say, ah.
Hey, Adam here. Okay, so let's set the stage here so we can continue to talk about this. Okay, for all the viewers, it is true. The accent diversification is a communication skills,
Right,
not
right.
mandatory but very advantageous. So we're gonna talk about it.
Sure,
So
sure. Well, I
Adam,
like
show us a little bit about your past experience to train people to reduce or change accent. What does it
yeah.
involve?
So I did use the word reduce before. I like the word you've used now as diversify. But years ago, we weren't so worried about maybe offending as many people. Yeah, I mean, the reason why I did it was because there was so much demand for it. Like people actually wanted that. How can I reduce my accent? And I was always thinking, like you just said, about the actors. Like it's very like when you actually think about this, it's just a series of steps that's most sounds in not most languages, but like b, p, m, f, like a lot of languages do that. It's really just vowels that you need to think about. And so if
Oh,
you just start thinking about, oh, how do I do this? Or, oh, there's a breath here where there isn't a breath in another language. So you kind of get these like
oh,
little changes, and then eventually you sort of hit that critical mass where now you just sound
okay.
like whatever, like Batman in the movie.
Wow. So Adam here, um, because a lot of people, let's say in Canada,
Mhm.
professional, no matter it's medical doctor who just moved from South Africa,
Mhm.
Asia, and they do want to reduce their accent so they can communicate clearly. So let's
Yes.
say if somebody were in an accent reduction training,
Mhm.
can you tell us usually how many weeks, each time, how long do they meet, and what's involved? I'm very intrigued.
Well, I always did it one-on-one. Like it was always a one-on-one thing,
One,
and I
okay.
basically had my checklist, right? You could go through different different sounds, and I would always encourage them to bring some kind of material that was um unique to them or special to them that they could read or talk about. And then because then otherwise what are we doing? Like, it's not going to like I'm not going to read kids books with them.
Mm.
So it would be kind of like that with a checklist. I've never actually done it in a group setting. I'm
Oh,
not sure how it would work like that, but maybe after the podcast we could think of some ideas.
yeah, I went to a group training before when I was working in corporate.
Hmm.
I think we went to a 2 hour sessions with my colleagues and maybe like three sessions in a row. And in the session here, they asked us to hold a mirror.
Hmm.
So when we try to emphasize opening the mouth,
Right.
and also when we speak, ooh, ooh, ooh,
Right.
use that breath.
Sure.
I remember these two things they teach, and it's really useful because people are not aware that they might be speaking English without moving their mouth,
Right. Right.
and they don't put enough breath to pronounce those words.
To make the sound. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Or maybe too much breath, right? Like, I always
Mm.
remember with some clients before, they would always say words like meeting. I'm having a meeting later. And you'd be like, no, 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 you don't need a breath there. You just hold that back. So that's what I mean. Like all of these things are just, it's just like small change, small change, small change, small change. And then you realize, oh, now I'm speaking very, again, it
Mm.
doesn't, the goal is not like, the goal is not speak like Adam, or the goal is not speak like Joseph, right? The goal is just like reduce barriers.
Okay, so people don't know what they don't know. Okay, let's say if I am a professional counselor, I
Mhm.
go to you for one session. How long is it in a one-on-one session? And what would we do inside the session?
For the act, just for the accent.
Yeah, accent reduction. Let's say,
Um,
Adam, I want to reduce my accent so
right.
people can hear my English more louder, more clearer. We booked this one-on-one session today. How long it is? And what are we gonna do?
Yeah, okay. So for an hour, I mean, it's been a few years now, but for an hour, it was generally like get to know you. And,
Oh,
I would have the notebook here. I can't see the notebook on the white screen. I would have the notebook here and just kind of tick off certain things. So again, like you mentioned, like the mouth opening. Um,
oh,
you could go alphabetically because a lot of people get those A's and A's and S
oh,
mixed up. So you kind of
oh,
start just talk, just keep talking, tell me about your wife and your job and all that thing, and just kind of at
oh.
the end, we'd go over it very quickly. And then of course I would always record something for them at the end as well, so that they would have something that they could listen to.
Oh, I see. So you will ask them to speak to you, you
Mm.
listen, and then you focus on the alphabet, how to pronounce the A and other things.
Right. Right.
Okay, yeah.
And then the other big thing in English is the like every word really only has like the one stress. Even if it's a very, very long word, only one syllable will be stressed. So every other syllable just sounds like So it's not going to be like computer, like computer, whatever the word is,
Right.
politics, psychology, only has psychology.
And that's very interesting because Adam, when people coming from other cultures,
Hmm.
and just say you learn Mandarin in China, and Mandarin has many different tones. It's more
Yeah.
complicated than English.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
for
that's
me,
another. Yeah,
when I
that's
was
another.
teaching somebody Cantonese, they have nine tones.
Mm.
Because I'm a native speaker, I don't have to learn that
Oh,
way.
yeah.
So it's so hard for me to teach.
Right. So what do you do? Do you sing to them? I've often heard like when you're teaching Cantonese, you can sing the tones to somebody, and it sounds very nice.
Yeah, I just stopped teaching. But anyways,
Yeah. Maybe can you teach me something
maybe next time. Yeah, Adam.
next time?
So,
Okay. Okay.
can you tell us a little bit about back then when you're doing the accent training?
Mhm.
Um, how many sessions do an individual go to you before they see the results?
You can see results right away. Yeah, like I
Okay.
mean, because again, the type of people who were coming were like this is not like a beginner class. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like they've been
Hmm.
studying English for a long or speaking English for a long
Okay.
time. A
Yeah.
lot of these
Yeah.
people,
Hmm.
they're professionals, so they're
Okay. Yeah.
busy. But I mean, I can still remember one guy who, again, he looked like an American guy. He kind of spoke like an American guy. It was just those little like the sound where it should be nothing. And I remember like once we really identified those, he could identify it himself. And then so he'd talk about the meeting yesterday. He'd stop the meeting yesterday.
Oh,
And it was just very cool. So you can see like that somebody's very happy and I'm very happy
okay.
too. But the point is that it's not a long process. It's just he was not difficult to understand. So I mean, if we were like triaging, if you were a counselor and Joseph and I were like triaging, like what should you do? I'd probably say you can go work on your modalities or work on something else. But his goal was to just sound as American as possible, which is probably not the goal that most people would have. They just want to reduce barriers.
Okay. It's interesting, Adam. When you talk about these accent training skills,
Yeah.
it will be very valuable for counselors,
Hmm.
counseling students,
Yeah.
and the general public.
Yeah, yeah. And let's be clear, we're not only talking about people who were not born in Canada. I come from the countryside, and I'm from rural Ontario, and let me tell you, some people there, their accents are very, very strong. And so I spent many years overseas, and my accent kind of melted away. But when I go home, oh man, it comes back. It comes back quickly.
Yeah, and sometimes the accent, the way that we speak, the
Mm,
way that we use, move our mouth, the breath
right.
control can really reduce, impact the message.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. So.
Yeah, and people are shy, they won't tell us.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So Adam here, if we were to do some sort of accent training,
Mm.
would you say a one-on-one or group environments? How would that work, or would you recommend to people around you who will benefit from this training?
Well, you mentioned this corporate one, so maybe it's worth calling up the people who organize that and comparing notes a little bit. Because again, I feel like I have the most experience with the one-on-one, and
Okay.
there has to be some kind of transferable idea there that could go from the one-on-one to the group. But I think
Okay.
one thing that I definitely did was also the
Mm,
mirror. You have to look at yourself. You have to look at your mouth. It
okay.
wasn't really for the like because I feel that one you can describe to people, right? You go to the dentist, it's an but like some sounds in English, like we call them the short vowel sounds. Again, it's not super important for counseling, but just there will be times when it's very, very difficult. For example, right now we're on the video call, the video call. Well, of course, we're not going to call it a video call, it's a video call. So, but just like helping people be aware they can make all of these sounds just by shifting their mouth a little bit. So look at the mirror, make the whole like, yeah, and you can see at what point, as your mouth changes, at what point the sound changes as well.
And this is so valuable, Adam, because when you are mentioning those vowels, those
Mm,
pronunciation, because when people say something, they try to hear something, sometimes they cannot hear the differences. It's
right,
up to you, the professional, to tell them the subtle differences in the sound.
right, right, exactly,
For
exactly.
example, when you just say the video, I
Mm,
actually cannot hear the difference myself.
right, right.
I probably need some instructions before I can actually differentiate the two types.
Right. Well, I mean, so that in and of itself, though, I think is a
Mm,
great reason why we should do
yeah,
this because we can't assume that the client is always going to, be able to understand
yeah.
everything. So again, it's just about reducing the barrier.
And then I remember the last time I do this training,
Mm,
we have a group here in corporate talking about 20 years ago.
okay.
I remember the manager told me they bring in this person. They also train actors and actresses. It is a
Right.
gentleman, I forgot his name. I think they pay $2,000 for a 1 or 2 hour sessions. 20 years ago, I mean, the
Okay.
world has changed many
Right.
things. There's no smartphone 20 years ago. But
Right.
anyways, yeah. And this is very valuable to help a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Adam, let's talk about your surroundings here.
Sure.
Well, today we talk about the speed, the silence, the accent skills, these three
Right.
things. What else do you notice as a barriers for communication for a lot of your fellow counselors that
I
is
mean,
really
those
affecting their quality in counseling?
Those are the big ones. I mean, one thing that I heard not too long ago was actually it was two counselors speaking to each other. Actually, I've heard this a few times now. Counselors speaking to each other and not really understanding what the other counselor is saying. In fact, totally misunderstanding. And the couple times this has happened, I've just thought like, isn't this our job? Isn't our job to be better listeners? Of course, we have to communicate as well, but most of the session, or a good chunk of the session, is going to be us just listening to somebody. So if a counselor cannot understand another counselor, then there must be some issue happening up here.
This is important, Adam, because in psychology, have studied this for decades. When people listen to something, they have to decode the message in the brain,
Mm, right,
and then they have to think about before they respond. And sometimes how they decode is can be very different from what they hear.
right.
And it
Yes.
also go into what you mentioned earlier about the
Mm,
silence.
right.
For a lot of people, when they listen, they're just waiting for their turn to speak immediately.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
There's no time for that decoding here. The loading bar here is only loading to 10%. They already.
Right. Right. And for the new counselors, I mean, I totally get the idea of, again, the silence is very uncomfortable. But also, like, we always think that we have to do something. The question, I'm going to ask this great question and it's going to be so good. It's going to, crack the code and this person is going to be healed. But then we're so busy thinking about that question that we realize, oh, we're not actually listening to this person. He just told us that maybe what will crack the code. But, oh, sorry, can you say that again?
That's very important, Adam, because in communications, a lot of counselors focus on the techniques, the
Right,
modalities, or the education give you something.
right,
But fundamentally, counseling, we use the relationships, we
right.
listen, the undivided attention to create
Yes,
changes.
that's right.
Listening, okay, let me write down here. Listening is a big communication skills here.
Oh, yeah, that one's a bad one. That one is a bad one. I always find it so interesting when it's two people speaking the same language, and from the same place or whatever, and I have to, no, 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 I don't think that's what they said, or I don't think that's what they said. So, but you're right. You're so right. I mean, we all have our own perceptions, and we all, code messages differently and decode messages differently.
And this one has huge implications, Adam.
Hmm.
On one hand, here, counselor talking to counselor,
Right.
because we have a lot of in the hospital, there's rounds, the
Mm.
psychiatrists, doctors, nurses, social
Right.
worker, counselor, they have to communicate with the cases. If
Right.
people cannot listen or communicate clearly, they
Mm.
affect the quality outcome. Number two, we can think about is in couple family counseling.
Yeah.
We're training the clients for that listening and communication skills
Right. 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 Right.
for the outcome for the couple counseling success.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be nice in life if we could, everything that we say to another person, there is a neutral third party here to say, like, okay, Joseph, now please say that back to Adam.
That neutral party is you, the counselor
Yeah,
in the couple counseling.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So in our lives, I mean, that one, if your friends or your colleagues tell you that maybe you're not a great listener, again, that might be difficult to hear. But
Yeah.
again, like keep in mind this feedback is a gift. This is going to help you.
It is very true. It might come across very offending,
Hmm. Right.
but it also come across undisputable fact. A lot of
Right.
times is something to improve the skills.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Wow. So Adam, today we talk about a few very important topics: speed,
Yeah.
silence, accent, listening. And next time we're gonna talk more here. Unfortunately, we're close to the end of our time. We would love to hear more about communications and all your other things to say here in future episode.
Yeah. All right. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Thank you, Adam, the master communicator, trainer, and counselor in beautiful British Columbia. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, everybody.